Don't worry. In the atomic age, everything happens fast. Lecturing on the sutra fast is also wonderful. Faster or slower is still wonderful. If Shakyamuni Buddha did not lecture beyond the wonderful, how could I now stray from the wonderful? Although the Dharma is wonderful, if we wish to understand it, we must put down our attachments. If you don't put them down, it's still wonderful, but if you do put them down, it's even more wonderful. If you don't believe me, try it out. Put down both your body and your mind so that inwardly there is no body and mind, outwardly there is no world. When people and dharmas are empty, when all is completely empty, could this be anything but wonderful? To obtain the genuine wonder which is inherent within the self-nature of us all, everything must be put down. Inwardly, you have no body and mind, and outwardly, there is no world, and yet you still have not separated from the body and mind and the world. It is not the case that in order to be without body, mind, or world, you must separate from the body, mind, or world. It is right within the body and mind, right within the world, that they do not exist. I often say, the eyes view external forms, but inside there is nothing. The ears hear mundane sounds, but the mind does not know. Such an accomplishment is not easy. It is in fact extremely difficult, and so it is wonderful. What is easy is also wonderful. It is all wonderful. Everything is wonderful. Nothing goes beyond the wonderful Dharma. No wonder great Master Churchill took 90 days to explain it. There's no way one could ever finish explaining it. No way. The wonderful Dharma is difficult to speak of because it is difficult to speak of. It is wonderful. As difficult as it is, still we shall speak of it, and that in itself is wonderful. No matter how you explain the wonderful is wonderful. In general, then, wonder, 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 wonder. Everything is wondrous, filled with wonder and wonderful. You ask, as wondrous, filled with wonder and wonderful as it is, ultimately, what is the function of this wonder? And your asking that question is also truly wonderful. One cultivates and practices dhyana meditation in order to find this wonder. Seeking the wonderful, Shakyamuni Buddha practiced ascetic practices in the Himalayas for 6 years, seeking the wonderful. The Bodhisattvas cultivate the Bodhisattva way. The Arhats put everything else aside to seek the wonderful. The common people cultivate the way seeking the wonderful. Sages also cultivate seeking the wonderful. The position of Buddhahood is called wonderful enlightenment. The highest level of Bodhisattva attainment is called equal enlightenment, and it is not as high as the wonderful enlightenment. Only the Buddhas have attained wonderful enlightenment. So, we must understand the wonderful. What function does it have? It has no function at all. It is entirely useless, and yet everything depends upon it. Speaking of the great function, the great creative power of the wonderful, you might say, let it go, and it fills the universe. Born from the wonderful are heaven, earth, and all creation. Do not hold the mistaken notion that God or pupil created the universe. It was created from the wonderful. Only the Buddhas can truly understand the wonderful. The inherent Buddha nature is called the Buddha nature of wonderful enlightenment. Perhaps you think, I can't expect it to be easy to understand the wonderful. If it were easily understood, it wouldn't be called wonderful. But again, you are wrong. If you could easily and effortlessly understand the wonderful, that would be even more wonderful. To exert great effort to understand is also wonderful. However, no matter what you say about it, it is wonderful. In all directions is the way. To the left and right, one meets the source. What do you see that is not wonderful? The lamps, chairs, tables, everything, absolutely everything is a manifestation of the wonderful Dharma. If you understand the wonderful Dharma, then everything is wonderful. If you don't understand the wonderful Dharma, then all Dharmas are unwonderful. And although you may think that you understand them clearly, actually you don't understand them at all. If you look deeply into their basic substance, you will find that they all arise from the wonderful. Last summer, I took 96 days to explain the Suragama Sutra. In this sutra, there is a discussion of 50 kinds of demonic states associated with the five skandhas. All of these demonic states are higher than the states of present-day heavenly demons and non-Buddhist religions. So, in giving a certain religion the title ghostly and demonic, I am actually giving it more credit than it is due. Members of this religion are actually not as good as demons and ghosts. No doubt the demons and ghosts wouldn't even take them for their grandsons. But because I am personally acquainted with these people, I have given them the rather elevated title of demons and ghosts. The wonderful functioning of the spiritual powers of the 50 skandha demons is extremely powerful. Some of them can emit light from the top of their heads and then transfer it to your head so that your head also emits light. In Buddhism, however, such spiritual powers are considered demonic. So people who cannot even emit light cannot rightly be called demons. They are more like house flies. They buzz north, east, south, and west, back and forth, but they can't find their way out. The blind followers are just like that. Blind followers are those who cultivate the way under the guidance of a blind man. If you don't understand, you should study a religion that will teach you how to understand. These particular religion's theories are riddled with fallacies, and its methods simply don't work, and yet it claims to incorporate all religions. In China, we say he slaps his face until it swells so that he can have chubby cheeks. Ordinary people without much understanding are led astray by these blind men. In the world, there are few people who possess understanding and many who do not. Many are stupid, few have wisdom. Wise people like to hear true principle. Those without wisdom listen to the teachings of those who confuse them and lead them astray. I am not trying to insult anyone, but those who follow this teaching do so because they do not want to put an end to sexual desire. They want to do as they please, and so they like this religion. Buddhism teaches the severing of sexual desire. As the Suragama Sutra states, cultivating the way without cutting off sexual desire is like cooking sand, hoping to get rice. Is impossible. If you think you can enjoy both the mundane pleasures of worldly desires and the ultimate bliss of the transcendental as well, you are mistaken. It cannot be done. You cannot have both. There are some people who investigate the Buddha Dharma, but they merely use their brains and mouths and don't actually do the work. because they do not rely upon the methods taught by the Buddha in their practice. They are like demons and cannot be called disciples of the Buddha. Some people say that they believe in Buddhism and yet they do not even bow to the Buddha. They are in for some severe retribution. Whether they wind up as animals, ghosts, or hell beings cannot be known for sure. Those who study the Buddha Dharma must do so according to the methods taught by the Buddha. It is a serious mistake to see yourself as bigger than the Buddha. Students of the Dharma must revere not only the Buddha, but they should bow to the Bodhisattvas and arhats as well, and to all those who have great goodness and cultivation. They must not be arrogant and proud and think of themselves as number one. In the 20th chapter of the Dharma Flower Sutra, the story of never slighting Bodhisattva is related. Who was a never slighting Bodhisattva? He was a former incarnation of Shakyamuni Buddha. Cultivating the Bodhisattva way, he exclusively practiced the 10 great kingly vows of Samantabhadra Bodhisattva. 1. Worship and respect all Buddhas. One should respectfully bow to all the Buddhas of the past, present, and future in the 10 directions. 2. Praise the first come ones. You ask, does the Buddha like people to praise him? That's a good question. Yes, he does. However, praising the Buddha is just praising yourself. But I don't want to praise myself, you say. Then don't praise the Buddha because the Buddha and living beings are one. Well then, if I am a Buddha, I don't need to bow the Buddha, do I? You say, wrong again. Although your self-nature is the Buddha, you have not yet cultivated it, and so you are not yet identical with the Buddha and have not certified to the fruit. If everyone was a Buddha, then Shakyamuni Buddha would have not had to go to the Himalayas to meditate for 6 years and then sit beneath the Bodhi tree for 49 days before becoming enlightened and realizing Buddhahood. He would not have had to toil so bitterly, would he? Shakyamuni Buddha cultivated all manner of bitter practices in former lives and all kinds of dhyana samadhis. He practiced giving, morality, patience, vigor, and prana wisdom, too, all kinds of dharma doors. In his life as Shakyamuni Buddha, however, he still had to undertake ascetic practices in the Himalayas and sit beneath the Bodhi tree, where finally one night he saw a bright star and awoke to the way. To say nothing of 6 years, you haven't even sat in the Himalayas for 6 days or 6 hours, and you claim to be a Buddha. That's too much of a bargain. Your Buddha is really too inexpensive. So, those who say that their Buddhas are shameless, brazen, and outrageously impudent. Never slighting Bodhisattva never looked down on anyone. When he saw the Buddhas, he bowed. When he saw Bodhisattvas, arhats, bhikshus, bhikshunis, he also bowed and he said, I dare not slight you, for you will all become Buddhas. To slight you would be to slight the Buddha. His devotion was completely genuine without the slightest trace of falsehood. As a result, he was reviled by bhikshus of overwhelming arrogance. You don't understand anything about Buddha Dharma, they said, and yet you go about transmitting predictions at random. They screamed at him and they beat him. When he bowed, they kicked him. They even kicked his teeth out. Under these circumstances, most people would have certainly discontinued the practice of bowing, but instead of giving up, never sighting Bodhisattva began bowing at a distance. He bowed, and without waiting for the person to come near him, he quickly ran off. Such was the practice of Shakyamuni Buddha in a former incarnation as a never sighting Bodhisattva. Shakyamuni Buddha did not become a Buddha overnight. He practiced the 6 perfections and the 10,000 conducts through many lifetimes. The sons and grandsons of demons now shamelessly say, "Everyone is a Buddha." Their speech is deviant and their practice is crooked. People who think they are the Buddha do not recognize the Buddha. This is like declaring yourself the emperor or electing yourself president. Without an election or loyal supporters, no one will recognize you. Such people always end up in jail because they totally disregard the country's laws. In fact, they are not shown the least bit of courtesy and are sometimes even beheaded. In Buddhism, people like this are certain to fall into the hells because they think that they are Buddhas, but instead of cultivating the great offenses, they use the Buddha's name to treat and swindle people. "I am Buddha and so are you," they say, and "we should do this and that." They devise schemes to treat the world. Don't take it lightly, it's no game. It's more dangerous than sleeping every night with an atom bomb in your embrace. People who act this way are destined for no place but the hells. It is said, "There are roads to the heavens, but you don't walk them. Hell has no gate, but you barge right in." Another verse goes, "One confused transmits that confusion. In one transmission, to misunderstand, the teacher plummets into the hells. His disciples follow with their hearts in their hands." When the disciples arrive, the teacher says, "What are you doing here?" "We are your students," they say, "and of course, we want to follow you. But you've made a terrible mistake. This is hell." "Oh no," the students cry. "Why have you led us here?" "I don't even know how I got here," he cries, "but it's too late now. I can't get out." Pathetic, isn't it? Not only the teacher, but all of his disciples are like a fish trapped in a net. When will they get out? No one knows. No one has a solution for their problem. This is what happens when you claim to be a Buddha without recognizing the Buddha or understanding the Dharma, such as the retribution incurred. We were discussing the 10 great kingly vows. 3. To cultivate extensively the giving of offerings. This is not to make offerings today and not make them tomorrow, to give to one Buddha and not another. 4. To repent and reform of karmic obstacles. 5. To follow along and rejoice in acts of merit and virtue. When you see a chance to do something good, you should do it. If you can do a penny's worth, do a penny's worth. If you can do $1 worth, do $1 worth. If you can do $100 worth, do $100 worth. Merit and virtue must be done, not just talked about. Practicing the Bodhisattva way, one must benefit others, not oneself. In general, those acts which help others and which are not done out of selfish, profit-seeking motives are all acts of following along and rejoicing in merit and virtue. 6. To request the turning of the Dharma wheel. This is to ask a Dharma master to explain the sutras. For example, a few days ago, some people requested me to lecture on the Vajra Sutra. Until now, there has been no Buddha Dharma in America and no one qualified to explain the sutras. The sutras are ineffably wonderful, and their wonderful doctrines cannot be understood without several decades of study and practice. In America, a number of people say, I am a Buddhist studies. You know, I have a doctorate in Buddhism. But if you haven't put yourself down, you have not understood the Buddha Dharma at all. If you understand the Buddha Dharma, why do you still cling to your PhD? So, the PhDs treat little children. If you speak genuine principle, however, no one will listen. I explain genuine principle to you because I have reached a level where you can't accept it. If I told everyone the truth right off, they would run in fright and never return. If you give a child a piece of candy, he will eat it and understand that it is sweet. If you try to reason with him, he simply won't understand, and if there is no candy to be had, he won't come back. To request the turning of the Dharma wheel is to ask those who truly understand the Buddha Dharma to explain the sutras, not just professors. If you want to be a carpenter, you should study with carpenters. If you want to be a metal worker, study with metal workers. If you want to understand the Buddha Dharma, then study with someone who really understands it. Request the turning of the Dharma wheel. 7. To request that the Buddhas drown in the world. Now the Buddha has entered Nirvana and no longer dwells in the world. Still, we can ask that Buddha Dharma remain in the world. 8. To follow the Buddha in study forever. When Shakyamuni Buddha practiced the Bodhisattva way, he looked upon his own body as empty. We should follow his example. 9. To accord always with living beings. We should cooperate with living beings with the hope that they will gain understanding. 10. To dedicate all merit and virtue. All merit and virtue gained from one's own practices should be dedicated to the benefit of all living beings so that they may quickly realize the Buddha way.